risers. It says
Or these drawings.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I said in my email, which is also part of the packets there, that we do have some issue that was brought to our attention with the septic tank work that was done at Ralph's. One being the structural integrity of the tank itself is in question.
Well, they breached it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I put it all in front. When Carl came into the office with his concerns and a multitude of pictures, I was worried. So I put all of that in front of our engineers to review. They put it in front of some more of their engineers at the office, and they said, yeah, that the structure of the tank is definitely probably compromised. Furthermore, they had their engineer who's on site during the water project go down and pull the lid of the septic or the manhole, and they looked down and
The cut, you mean?
of the new one that they cut. So they installed a fiberglass riser, which can be okay as long as you have a concrete ring that goes around it. That concrete ring is not in place, so therefore it's not traffic rated. So not only is the riser not traffic rated, but the tank itself has a structural. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is.
So I saw a picture of what they actually cut, and in the scheme of things, we're making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't mind going to an engineer and getting a third-party calculation on it. But they didn't cut a very big hole. They should have the risers. That's it. Fiberglass is not rated to run on. It needs the risers that protects the fiberglass.
The concrete ring, like we talked about.
Yeah, it's a set of concrete rings, usually the quick rings. That also distributes the pressure from the traffic instead of beating on it.
what kind of material is the tank?
Concrete or
Concrete.
and based on the picture, it's less than 10% of the cross-sectional area.
To meet the use standards, you need a truck to bring the lid on. And the risers on top of that around the fiberglass.
So regardless, the situation of that tank wasn't where it should have been, or when they went up to it. It didn't have that type of a riser, correct? And
Well, I don't know what the existing riser was.
Yeah, I don't
We
know.
don't know. It could have been fiberglass, the same thing they put in. I don't, they've been in the parking lot for 40 years, no problem. So,
Well, they might have just replaced it with different kind of materials.
I would like to add, excuse me, one other thing to this whole discussion, and that is, it's been determined that tank was never dropped down far enough, and one of the reasons Ralph's Cafe has had issues over the years with it backing up is because the outlet is higher than the inlet, and sometimes it just kind of backs up into their system. So that's another issue that we'll probably have to address or have our engineer look at.
One of the things.
that'll be a
also.
$20,000 tank. This is one we can't afford. I'm sorry.
Well, I think the issue that I see with this is, according to the design of the tanks that we're using, we have our inlet side here, clearly, and then the manhole, which is meant to pump. KG&T's claim is that they can't get to the other side of the tank and pump all the solids out. I don't understand that. It's a gravity tank. And so them cutting a hole over here, what I'm actually hoping for is that the district shouldn't be paying for this, period. We shouldn't have paid to cut a second hole, or maybe we have a different issue. I don't know. All of it's still up in the air. But
I think that's a legitimate issue there because it should be a one
compartment
It should be
tank.
a two-part. If it is a two-compartment tank, then there's some other issue, right, Bob?
Yes, absolutely.
And the thing is on the
You got
inlet,
no pump in it.
yeah. And if the riser is over here, and it is for whatever reason a two-compartment tank, the two-compartment should be effluent only.
Right.
And
they shouldn't
so
even
I
have
don't
to worry
understand.
about.
So there's a multitude of questions up in the air. And either we have a flaw in our design of our tanks, or we're being told not great information by our contractors, and therefore incurring costs and work that shouldn't be done. And we either have a legal or an insurance claim. But this is a lot of money for us, and my goal is to recoup some of those costs that we should have never spent in the first place.
Does this tank have a built-in pump chamber? If there's a divider in there, then all the solids settle on the other side.
Exactly.
And flows over to the pump side. So you have to pull the screen that's on the pump side, pull them off, but you pump from the other side. You have to have that access. That's where the solids settle.
Yeah. And if they're saying that they can't get to the side where all the solids are, and they need to cut it over to here, that means that there would be a flaw in our tank designs.
Right. And the tank is bad, and
Which would indicate a bigger problem with how many tanks do we have like that, something that we would need to know. So this is kind of, to me, our investigation into, do we have a flaw in our tank designs that we put in, which some people have alluded to, not customers or anything, but just either way, something that we would investigate. So with this, I think, is our chance to A, see fully what our tank is like there, B, have a claim with either KG&T or, iCrimp insurance, something. But I'm in the process. I've asked KG&T for all of the work that they've done this year, a complete list. So when we investigate this one, do we have other ones that we need to look at? Do we have other claims that we need to make? So this was kind of just my first step into get an engineer to look at it. The next step would be compile the information, which I've started to do, and then put it in front of an attorney.
It's a private party.
Right.
No, you're going to partnership. Okay. Well, I think we need to get somebody out there with the contractor and go over what we've done and why. Yeah. I mean, we're walking. There's no decision to make because we don't know until we get a engineer type, be it Keller or other engineer, to come out there with the contractor, with Bob, one of the Bobs, and go over what's in the ground, why they did what they did.
What was, what is now, what needs to be done. Right?
We have to have a little investigation, some knowledgeable people before we move on this at all. I'm glad you're dogging it because it could just get swept under the rug and 20 years from now somebody's going, what did they do?
You want an example of these? You go to the Model Bay Water and Sewer District website, and they have RSRs, residential system requirements, and they have pictures of what the various options you have. It just,
But again, we need our engineer to get out there so we know what we have first.
yes, we need, but we do get. But if we can't get it this side there, and it is a two-compartment tank, and you can't get it this side of the solids, you eventually, the tank eventually equals solids build up to the top, and everything is going straight into the pump side, and then that builds up.
So is that
And you just reduce your capacity of your tank by every.
our greatest question, in my mind? Am I wrong in thinking our greatest question would be, are you attempting to pull solids out of another section of the tank? Because you should be going straight into what you can see, and what is leading one to try to get more
There's
solids.
two things they're pumping. There's sludge blanket on top that you're pumping. There's
Okay.
solids settled on the bottom.
Right,
What's in between those two is the capacity we have to handle.
right.
It's coming in.
And now if you have a baffle, that they're saying there's a baffle, so they need to get on the other side of that
An ear
baffle,
plate or
which makes me wonder, well, why are you going on the other
So
side of
this
the
is
baffle?
but it's
Baffle,
pump chamber tank.
the baffle is to separate.
it's just a weird plate with a head space over the top where solids go,
Right.
fluids flow over the top.
And so there should be no solids on the other side. So they're saying they're all.
There's always sunk or it's usually a bonus.
But they shouldn't even be going into it. It should be just, they sucked out what they did and then walk away. They don't know who's making a bigger
But
issue.
if it is a two-part tank and it didn't get cleaned for a long time, there's going to be solids on the wrong side. It's just, and we need an engineer, our engineer, to meet with the contractor and one of the Bobs and pull the lids and find out what the heck's down there. And then we have something they go on. Until we do that, we don't.
Doesn't they actually want to make a demand then that this person, and that person get together and
I think we make the request for our engineer to contact the contractor and Bob and meet on the job site and figure out what it is.
if we don't have to make a motion?
I will make a motion. make a motion to request our engineer to meet with the contractor, which is, contractor is
KG&T.
KG&T, and one of the Bobs on the job site at Ralph's to investigate the septic issue, what's actually happened, and what we have. Then report back to the board.
Skip that.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll put it on the agenda for next month.